This is a matzah tash. Matzah, of course, is the unleavened bread, and tash means bag or pouch, and that's what this is. It's a bag for unleavened bread. In fact, there are 3 pieces of unleavened bread inside the matzah tash. And the rabbis tell us that the matzah tash represents a unity. 3 pieces of bread, 1 bag, 3 in 1. And yet there is a great deal of disagreement among the rabbis as to which unity it is this matzah tash represents. Writing in the Haggadah, one rabbi tells us it represents the unity of the patriarchs. You know, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Another rabbi writes, no, it represents the unity of worship in Israel, the high priest, the Levites, and the people of Israel. And on goes several more suggestions. Now, I believe the matzah tash represents a unity also, but I believe that the matzah tash represents the unity of our triune God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And here's why. During a particular time of the Passover, we will reach into the second compartment of the matzah tash. Now you can ask the Rabbi, why do we take the second piece and leave the first and third pieces alone? And the answer is, we don't know. It's tradition. And we take out this second piece that was hidden. And there are 3 things I want you to notice about this matzah that make it acceptable for Passover. First of all, this is an entire loaf of bread. And look at it. It's flat like a cracker. And that's because this is unleavened. There's no yeast in it whatsoever. And in fact, we're so concerned that there be no rising in the bread that we take a device and we poke holes in the bread. So this bread is also pierced. And then we bake it on a hot oven rack, and these brown stripes are often baked right onto the bread. So that's what matzah is. It's unleavened, it's striped, and it's pierced. Even as our sinless Messiah was striped by the Roman whips, pierced by the nails in his hands and feet and the spear in his side, as predicted some 700 years beforehand through the prophet Isaiah, he was wounded for our transgressions. He was pierced for our diseases, and by his stripes we are healed. So now we take this second piece, the middle portion of the matzah tash, and we break it in half. Taking this broken piece now, we wrap it in a linen cloth or in a linen bag. And this second piece, broken, wrapped in a linen cloth, is called the Afikomen, a word meaning it comes later. And what we do with this second piece is we now carry it outside of the room of celebration to be hid for a time, buried, if you will. And this is such an important part of the Passover that the entire celebration cannot be completed without that second piece. And we'll get back to that in just a minute. Towards the end of the meal, the head of the house will say to all the children, go search for the Afikomen. That is that second piece that was broken, wrapped in a linen cloth, and hid for a time. Now, this is a great time of fun for the kids because they did not see where it was hidden. And so they, at this point, get to scurry around the house looking for that second piece, because you see the child who finds it brings it back to the head of the house and receives a reward. When I was growing up, that reward was $1. I think with inflation, it may be $5 or $10, whatever the case may be. Having rewarded the child, the father then stands and continues this ancient ceremony of the matzah tash and the Afikomen by breaking off small pieces and distributing to everyone seated at the meal. Everyone now receives a piece of this bread. Does this remind you of anything? You see, it was at this time that Jesus himself distributed the bread. You see, my friends, if the matzah tash represents the unity of the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, why is that middle piece broken, buried, and brought back? If the matzah tash represents the unity of worship, the priests, the Levites, and the people, why is that second piece broken, buried, and brought back? But if the matzah tash represents the unity of our triune God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, then we know why. It's because Jesus, the second person of the Trinity, was broken in death, wrapped in a linen cloth, buried in the tomb, and then brought back, resurrected by the power of God, conquering sin, conquering death, so that it is no wonder that Jesus took this bread and broke it and gave to his disciples, saying, "Take, eat, this is my body which is broken for you. Do this in remembrance of me." Do you see the picture? And what a picture it is.